And we're back. This is the Great Classic Rock Debate. I'm Kenny.
I'm Paul with 0 qualifications.
And I'm Steve.
We talk anything and everything classic rock. We try to have fun and we try to keep it interesting. Now, if I'm getting this correct, tonight we're going to wander a little bit from the classic rock path, okay? However, you guys tell me if you agree or disagree with this. I think it's okay. We're going to talk what we call guilty pleasures, okay? And because that term, guilty pleasures, can sort of be defined, I suppose, by anybody, however they want it to be, I'm thinking of the following criteria, and you guys tell me if this is okay with you. The three of us are all classic rockers. So the song that we choose as our guilty pleasure, although it doesn't have to be a classic rock song, and I think that we're saying for tonight's show, it's not going to be a classic rock song, okay? However, here's what I'm thinking. I want you to suppose that you are the DJ of a nightclub and it's a classic rock nightclub. It has to be a song in which the crowd would tar and feather you if you played in the classic rock club.
I like that criteria.
Right. In other words, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, we've talked before about Bryan Adams and Pat Benatar. Are they or are they not classic rock? I don't really think so. Some do. But if you played it in a classic rock club, you might piss off a few people, but you're not going to get tarred and feathered. Okay. So in other words, it cannot be a classic rock song. If it's been played on a classic rock station, that doesn't work. It has to be a non-classic rock for tonight. Good enough?
Sure.
Okay.
But it can be from that time period. Just can't.
I think it should be from that time period.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
In fact, as I was scrolling through, I was looking almost exclusively at 70s songs, and there's a plethora. There's so many. So that's what we're going to do for tonight. And each person will pitch their song and why it's a guilty pleasure, and then we'll get feedback from the other two. Does anybody want to go first?
All right, I'll go first. The song.
Okay, Rodney.
Rodney, whenever Rodney hears this song, I love this song, and I don't care. I love Rapture by Blondie. It's catchy. It's got a guitar thing at the end. She does some rapping with Fab Five Freddy. It's like this journey of a song, and then it gets into comedy at the end. It's like the song that's, and then there's like the horn section. I mean, this song has, like, it checks every cool box, in my humble opinion. All right, what do you guys think?
Okay, well, I'll say this. I like that it's not a classic rock song.
No.
Some of Blondie's stuff is borderline classic rock.
Heart of Glass, maybe. Yeah.
They play a couple of her songs. This one's not, but I like the song, and because rap, as a genre, whatever, had not yet become an abomination to my ears, I looked at this song as just something sort of cute and clever, like a novel. It had a novelty effect that it had the rapping in there, and there was no profanity or anything like that. And the song was totally catchy. Once you heard it once or twice, very difficult to get it out of your head. And as a matter of fact, it was #1 for several weeks in a row. It was a huge hit. So I'll go along with you. Definitely a guilty pleasure. If I hear it on the radio, I'll turn it up.
Steve?
So I will see your Rapture and raise you the tide is high.
Oh my God.
I like that song.
It's kind of like Dear Maker. It's like kind of a reggae-ish,
It's exactly what it is. Those two were back to back, and they were from the same album, and I forget the name of it now. Auto American, I think was the name of it.
Yeah, I don't know the
she
name
had,
of it.
if you sit back, she had a lot of Call Me was the theme song to American Gigolo with Richard Gere.
Right.
It's a good soundtrack.
Yeah, no, that's a great movie.
Fat Tricks.
What? What'd you say?
Come on, you guys. The one single line of dialogue from American Gigolo that will live forever is, I'll do anything. I'll do fag tricks.
I'll do kink. Yeah.
Right. So I thought I told you guys a particular story about that. If I didn't, I'll tell you at another time, but I'm not going to ruin tonight's show with that. But yeah, It's classic.
But she had some other good songs, like One Way or Another is a really catchy. That was
for a brief period of 3 to 4 years, she was super popular, and then that was kind of it.
I even liked the song she released in the mid to late 90s. I think it was Maria.
Yeah, it was 99. Correct.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I know that song, but
I think that was a remake. I think somebody else did that song.
Okay.
She gave it her own spin.
She left the Ave off of it.
It was, well, I tell you, that was probably about the last music video that I remember seeing, like on VH1, because MTV had stopped playing videos at that time.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, The Tide is High. I think that's a I think it's a good choice. You know what? I always assumed that was a remake of a reggae song, but I don't think it. I think that it's her original song because a bunch of reggae artists have covered her version. But I think that hers was original. I think. Wouldn't swear to it, but I think that's correct.
All right. Who's next?
Okay, so I'm gonna go. All right, now.
Should I get ready to
groan? Embarrassing one another. So
yeah, should I get ready to groan?
Yes. And I need to put this out here first. You guys, I'm a married man. Don't question my sexuality. All right. So the band in question is the Carpenters. Okay.
Oh,
the artist. Okay. Yeah. Now, this is a great story. All right. The song is titled Superstar.
Yes.
And it's one of those that if you play the song, the word superstar does not appear anywhere in the song. And it might leave you saying, where did that title come from? And if you listen to it lyrically, it's about a girl whose boyfriend is like a rock star dude, and he's on the road and she's at home thinking about him and missing him. Okay, now, here's where it gets good. It turns out that this is actually a cover. And it was done originally by, now I don't remember. I think it was like Delaney and Bonnie or one of those artists that you've heard of, but they never really had a bunch of big hits. But the song was originally titled Groupie with the word superstar in parentheses. Okay. And the original version is fairly blunt. It's about this girl meets this rock star, has sex with him, and then the next day he's gone. And she's left at home wondering whether she'll ever see him again. Probably not. It's sad, you know? And so the Carpenters took it and then sort of made it into a G-rated, and they altered it and made it kind of romantic sounding, you know? Because the original version, it's not really romantic. It's a groupie and a rock star. So depending on what your definition of romantic is, but then the Carpenters took it and they made it into this. And I got to tell you, as a kid, I used to hear that song and it had kind of a nice sound to it. It was very odd the way the verses were slow, but then the chorus was I'm not going to say it was fast. It was just much faster. It was such an odd clash of tempos there. But anyway, when I discovered the history of the song, it made me appreciate it that much more. But I've always liked that, even from, I was 10 or 11, I suppose, at the time it was out. I've always liked the song. I like it even more now that I know the little bit of history to it. But Carpenters, whether you love them or not, her vocals were amazing. And so as much as I feel guilty about liking this song, to this day, guilty as charged. I think it's a great song.
Steve, you want to talk about that?
I'm not familiar with it. I'm proud to say I'm not a Carpenters. I would know their voice if I heard it, but
it's a girl.
It's and also Luther Vandross covered it in the 80s and he had a big hit with it. But I have to tell you, and this is nothing against him, he's a great singer.
Yes.
The song does not ring genuine for me being sung by a male. Okay.
Right.
It needs to be sung by a girl to have a feeling of authenticity for me.
I have infinite worship for the Carpenters. Infinite. They're one of my favorite acts ever. And as you got older, as I think she died in 83, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Wow. I'm impressed that you nailed that. Good job.
Well, I have a shirt. I bought a bunch of, me and someone that Steve knows very much, kind of likes her too. So when I started hearing about how her mother had basically tortured the poor lady, and she died the day after she got married because she had anorexia, and
she had anorexia, yeah, but I didn't know any of that history. I didn't know.
So when you're hearing all this, it adds this infinite layer. This poor woman was in pain and trying to put on this happy face and hated herself because she thought she was fat. And, and I always found her incredibly beautiful, and the talent, like,
she was a little overweight.
No, she was not.
She was a broomstick. Okay.
Yeah, she was tiny. Like when they showed, they showed pictures of her near her death, and she was like, like a Holocaust. I'm not kidding. It was bad.
I've seen those pictures, and I'm like, it boggles your mind how people can be anorexic. So.
Yeah,
like her mom would say, "Yeah, you're gonna get a little fat," and it was like, there's a difference between saying, once a month or watch your diet, and plus women are different. Like when I got fat, Kenny shamed me one day, and to go to the gym, he shamed me, and I needed that because he's a man and I'm kind of a man. So
I said, here's exactly. I said, "You're a fat, disgusting blob," and he said, "Well, I'd like to get a second opinion." And I said, "Okay, you're ugly too."
Yeah, those are all true statements, but that's what I needed. I needed that from my big brother to.
Yeah.
And then he tortured me for about 1.5 years until, I'm on my way. So until I got fat again at UCLA, but and I lost that weight. So
I'm thinking of Keanu Reeves and The Devil's Advocate when they're like, he's a disgusting pig monster in that Southern accent, which I can't do.
Right.
But so Carpenters, I love all their like did they have too many original songs? I mean, Paul Williams wrote songs for them, and a bunch of other people did, right? Like.
Correct.
So, but I just love her voice, and Steve may not know this, she was like a super, super talented drummer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Very, very good drummer.
Wow.
Yeah, the drum solos on We've Only Just Begun are killer.
Yeah, she's badass. Oh, Steve. No. She's a badass
awesome
drummer.
Bill.
Seriously, she's good. All right.
Anyway, they probably even have a few others. That's the one that stands out for me.
Oh, they have a bunch of hits. I go on and on and on. Top of the world, down on creation, it's the only.
Yeah, that one is not a guilty pleasure.
I love that song.
Okay.
I love all their stuff. Steve, your turn.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Wait, aren't you up, Paul?
No, Steve's up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Here it comes.
Uh-oh. Not Bon Jovi. I will slap you.
ABBA, Take a Chance on Me.
I knew it. I knew Steve.
So, if you remember the mid-90s, there was a band called Ace of Base, which was a quartet.
Yeah.
And so I liked them. They had a couple of hits in the mid-90s.
I saw
a couple of years later, maybe 1 or 2 years later, I see a video late at night on VH1 of this band from the 70s. Well, they're Swedish, right? And
correct.
And I'm like, what is this? I'm like, who is this? ABBA and Take a Chance on Me. And I'm like, this is like, I felt like I was in Beavis and Butthead, like laughing at a video, but I'm like, I also like this. And so I did not realize that there was a band before Ace of Base called ABBA. And Take a Chance on Me. I really like it. I like the intro, and I'm ashamed to admit that, take a chance, take a chance. Take a chance. It's real catchy. So I don't know. I like
Paul,
it.
you want to go? I mean,
I love ABBA. One time, Steve, I think I was playing it in my car, and Steve tried to pull the Kenny thing of giving me crap, but then Steve fessed up right away. He goes, "I have their greatest hits."
Yeah, I do. I do too.
But Steve, like Kenny's done this to me a couple. Like Kenny ripped me about the Beach Boys. See, look at his face, guilty.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
Paul, you have one CD that I guarantee you neither one of us ever owned.
What's that? Oh, Pink?
Yes.
I sold it, but I did buy it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a surprise.
I did like that song, but
okay. Okay.
And
all right, let me say this about ABBA. I've read several of these type of books where you'll have the author, some sort of musical journalist, who will write chronologically all of what he sees as the most influential, impactful singles, going all the way back to mid 50s and all the way to the present day. And there's two for me that really, two books that really stood out that I felt like I got so much out of and so enjoyable reading them. And both of these guys picked a number of ABBA songs, and they went to great lengths explaining how, listen, you can love them or you can hate them, but you can't deny like they were talented. They crafted these catchy songs, and I admit that I go back and Take a Chance on Me is probably not one of the ones I would have chosen, but there are several. SOS, that one gets in my head and I can't stop singing it. And I'm not even a big fan of Dancing Queen, but as a DJ, boy, I've played that one a lot of times. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I fully support your choice of an ABBA song, because I'm pretty much willing to bet that almost everybody could name at least one ABBA song and go, okay, I'm not a fan of ABBA, but you know what? I do like that song.
I think they're a band that everybody secretly likes,
perhaps,
and they just don't want to admit it. So,
have you either one of you seen Priscilla, Queen of the Desert?
I saw part of it 30 years ago. I don't remember it that well.
It's
I know
one of the greatest movies, and like it spawned that movie To Wong Fu, blah blah blah. Remember?
Right.
So what they did was they got 3 of the machoest actors in Australia to play. So number 1 was
Paul
Hugo
Hogan.
Weaving, played one of them.
Paul Hogan.
Terrence Stamp played the other, and an ingenue actor was Guy Pearce. Those 3 guys were the 3 guys in Priscilla, and they're all obsessed. Well, 2 of them are obsessed with ABBA. And at the end of the song, they're cross-dressing and they sing that song, and the costume. It's mind-blowing how they imitate the ABBA where they're doing this. Mamma mia, I'm in love again. Right. It's a great movie. And people, like, a lot of people are like, you should see this to show you LGBTQ plus. I'm like, dude, I forget that. It's just a great movie. I don't give a damn about. It's just a great movie, and it's funny. And I guess in the movie, Guy Pearce steals one of the turds of ABBA, and he keeps it in his vial on his chest, so it's an ABBA turd.
Yes.
It's a really, really good movie.
I think I told you guys this in a previous episode, but one of the members of ABBA, Bjorn, I mean, that's a common Swedish name, so I don't know, but I think it's Bjorn something or other. And he wrote a Broadway play, Chess, and he wrote that song One Night in Bangkok from Chess, which was a big hit in '85. And he wrote that, even though he didn't sing it. The guy sang Murray Head. Yeah, but ABBA wrote it.
I did not know that.
How about that?
Wow. Yeah. Like when we walked out of the Matrix, the very first time, Steve was with me and Jeremy, our friend who we love, who's dead. We walk out and Jeremy says, I can't believe that was the guy in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. And I went, what are you talking about? That's Agent Smith. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, oh my God. Wow. It's the same actor.
Wow.
Plays this killing, murderous robot guy. Right. And in this movie, that guy is super, super talented, beyond what you think.
Okay.
Hugo Weaving. So is Terrence Stamp and Guy Pearce. Anyway.
Surprising the Crocodile Hunter was not in that movie.
Who?
The Crocodile Hunter, given how popular he was.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, Paul, you got one?
I was going to say Cherokee People. We talked about that.
You know, I was thinking about saying that one just as a joke. I was going to say, you guys probably don't know this song. It's called The Lament of the Cherokee Nation.
The Lament. The Lament.
Right. But I said, no, I'll never be able to hold a straight face, so I'm not going to do it. All right. If I can go if you want me to go.
You go.
No.
You go, and I'll think of something.
Okay. So, Steve, because you weren't yet born in the early 70s, you cannot fully appreciate how god-awful the group Bread.
I love that band. I do.
Paul, you're ruining. This is supposed to be guilty pleasures. You're ruining it because you love everything. So Bread was the band. What was the guy's name? David Gates was their lead singer, and he wrote all their songs. And they had this string of hit songs, and they were songs that the girls loved and the guys hated, and they were just sappy, mostly like heartbreak kind of songs.
Yeah, they're good. I love it.
Yes. Just sappy times a billion. Okay. And so, there's a funny episode of that show, The Wonder Years, where I forget their names. What's the guy's name? Fred Savage. What's his name? Do you remember?
Not on the show. I have no idea.
Okay. So he's got to get
Kevin Arnold.
Okay, he's got to get Winnie, his girlfriend, they're about 12. He's got to get her a Christmas present, and he buys her the best of bread. He's convinced this is the perfect gift. And everybody's, his mom and his sister, everybody says, no, 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 no. You got to get her something meaningful, get her some sort of piece of jewelry or a necklace or something. So he returns the album and gets her a piece of jewelry. So when they exchange gifts, she opens it and she's just elated with this beautiful earrings or whatever he got her, I don't remember. And he opens the gift from her. It's an 8-track, The Best of Bread. How funny is that? Oh my God. So anyway, their songs to me are awful. It's hard to listen to them. Now I'm gonna pinpoint, I'm gonna specify this one song called Everything I Own.
I love this song.
Okay, just shut up for a moment. All right. All right. So let me tell you why this is my guilty pleasure. All right. It is, oh my God, it's so sad. It's like, oh my God, this girl dumped him and he would give everything I own to have her back. And then I find out, Paul, you remember Sean, who we called Scene back at Auburn, right? Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Steve, I would say this was someone I dated, but that would be a stretch. The word dated is a stretch. So we'll just leave that open to one's interpretation. But she says to me, she says, that song is not about an ex-girlfriend.
No, it's not.
He wrote that to his father.
Yeah.
And I went, holy, you got to be kidding me. And then you sit down and read or listen to the lyrics, and it has a whole new meaning. And I got to tell you, it took my breath away when she told me that. And I went, wow. For my opinion, to go from here all the way over to here, just based upon that one piece of knowledge, it just gives the song a whole new context. So with that in mind, it is now a beautiful song that I absolutely cherish. Of course, I think of my dad when I hear it. And maybe I shouldn't feel guilty about it, but it's bread, so it's a guilty pleasure.
I love that song. Someone I dated a long time ago, like 10, I think it might have been Jennifer. She said that song is about a guy's dad.
Right.
And I said, a lot of times, unless the person says this song is about my dad or my mom, I'm too stupid to figure it out.
Right.
So if someone tells me, I'm like, I like it that way better.
Right. And especially with bread, I mean, if you think about their songs were all relationship gone bad type of songs. So why would you think this is going to be any different? And then you find out it's totally different.
I love that. They did Guitar Man, right?
Guitar Man is the only listenable song from them. Aside from that, they are the quintessential like sappy, soft 70s band. When I think of the 70s pop, what music that must have been playing on the radio at the time.
Yep.
That's what I think of.
Yeah.
And it's the dumbest name for a band of all time.
I concur. And oftentimes when I bring up Air Supply, if someone says, I'm not sure who that is, I go, they were like the 80s version of bread.
Kenny, you stole one of my guilty pleasures.
Oh, no, it's okay. They had some great songs, but they made those sappy love songs or either breakup songs or whatever, you know. So, but anyway,
you want to go, Steve? You want me to go?
There you go.
I'm ready to go. If you
go ahead, Steve.
So this is a band. So it's the Bee Gees.
Oh, I was going to pick them. Good job,
but it's not from the 70s, though.
Okay.
It's a song from, I think, 1989 called One.
Yeah, I like that song.
Yeah, I just, at the time, the Bee Gees, especially in the late 80s, they were so uncool. We had a guy in like elementary, I was going into junior, 6th or 7th grade at the time, and there was a guy wearing a Bee Gees backpack, and he was just like the biggest dork. And if you can imagine like the trend and the styles of like the late 80s versus the 70s, vastly different. And I just was so embarrassed because I'm like, this guy's got a Bee Gees backpack. He's such a dork, and I like this song. And I was just like a closet Bee Gees fan at the time.
Right.
So
that song was kind of a return to form. You're right. They had the 80s was an awful period for them. Even the reboots of Saturday Night Live with Travolta, what was it called?
Saturday Night Fever or Staying Alive.
Staying Alive. It failed. It was terrible, and the music, the songs did not do well either. So the 80s was a drought for the Bee Gees, but that song was a return to form. It was catchy and it was upbeat, and yeah, it's a good choice as a guilty pleasure.
Kenny and I got in a big debate, which I do not want to redo it right now, but anytime you want to debate it, we can. Kenny says, now correct me if I'm misquoting you, that they are a disco band. And I said, no, they're not.
No,
they're a rock.
No, I never said
You
that.
did that one day.
No.
I think, yeah, originally weren't they a rock band? They just
Yes, they are.
Yeah,
And
I
they're
mean,
thinking-
stylistically, no, listen, go all the way back to the 60s and stylistically follow them. They changed directions over and over and over again. You could never really categorize them as one thing. But during the late 70s, they were trying to be a disco band, I suppose.
but the music style was not disco. I mean, they just happened to be coming at that time.
Okay.
And I know the movie's about disco. I understand all that.
Right.
But More Than a Woman is not a disc. I mean, it's a great song. Like
I agree. But Paul, listen, you had to have either misunderstood something I said.
Maybe I did.
Or maybe my word choice came out wrong. But no, I would have never called them a disco band because they did too many. And you know, in the mid 70s, they recorded 2 albums in a row that had a strong R&B element. I thought that was some of the best stuff they ever made. It wasn't disco. It wasn't disco.
Well, a lot of bands did I mean, Kiss did a couple of disco songs.
Yeah,
I Was Made for Loving You.
Yeah.
The song that blows me away from Bee Gees is Nights on Broadway. I
love that song.
When I go, no, I'm like, oh, I gotta watch this. It reminds me of Rocky somehow. I don't know why. Or you know, like that New York-y feel. I don't know how to explain it, but the Bee Gees are. I mean, I just bought Sgt. Pepper's. Remember the movie that they were in with Peter Frampton?
Correct. Yeah.
I watched it. It's good. I have only watched the first 20 minutes.
It's funny how that movie has aged well because it was a box office failure.
Yep.
But so many people over the years have said, no, it's really good. You should see it.
I watched the first 20 minutes. I got to get back and watch the rest of it. It's good. And yeah, Bee Gees good. All right. Who was I going to say? Shit. Because Steve stole my thunder now.
All right.
Go ahead, Kenny, until I think of something else.
Okay. So I wrote down a few here. So I'm just going to go with you know what? Since we mentioned the Bee Gees, I'm going to go with this one because it's almost like cousins. The song is by Andy Gibb, who passed away back in the early 80s. He was dating Victoria Principal, I think, who at that time was like the best looking woman on earth. Okay.
Hot,
yeah. And then they broke up, and I think he went into depression and killed himself. I think.
Yeah, he was addicted to cocaine. And
okay.
Drug addict, yeah.
But in the late 70s, like 77, 78, 79, the guy had a string of hits. They were very Bee Gees-esque. And I think that Barry probably wrote most of them, you know, but he had this one in particular that was called Love is Thicker Than Water. Okay. I don't know what it is about that song. I love that song. I don't know. Once it's in my head, I go, oh my God, I like it. I don't hear it very often, but once I hear it, I like it. So Andy Gibb, Love is Thicker Than Water, which has a very strong Bee Gees vibe to it.
Since you brought her up, I'm going to go now. Pat Benatar, that first album, a lot of classic rock songs on there. Heartbreaker.
Agreed.
And some other songs. And she did a couple of covers on that album, but then it got to Hell. The next album had Hell is for Children.
Correct.
And then she got to Love is a Battlefield, which I actually do like the song.
Okay.
And then I don't know if Steve, you remember the episode of South Park where they parodied it?
I don't remember that.
Remember the Native Americans were the rich when they're buying all of South Park, and then the people from South Park came up, they all started shaking, shimmying. They recreated the video from Pat Benatar.
I don't think I've seen the video.
It was really funny. And so I love Pat. I saw her 3 or 4 times in concert. I enjoyed her.
Well, she's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying, but she had a lot.
You're breaking the rules, though. If you were DJing at a classic rock club, they wouldn't tar and feather you for playing.
Yeah, but if I played,
We Belong to the Night.
Yeah.
Is that the name of the song? I like that song.
It's We Belong to Each
We
Other.
Belong to Each Other. Something like that.
But listen, she had a lot of really good songs. Whether they are or are not classic rock is debatable. Fire and Ice was a good song. Shadows of the Night was a good song.
Oh, that's a great song. I like
really good songs. Yeah. So whether they meet the threshold to be classic rock, I don't know. But yeah, I can't really think of her as guilty pleasure material.
All right. What about?
Listen, we got our warning several minutes ago, so let's wrap this up. Does anybody have any last ones? Steve, you had something from Air Supply. What was it?
Yeah.
Well, I really like Air Supply. Oh God, I can't think of the name of the.
Are you straight, Steve?
What is it? Get back to me on that, but I'll say "Sentimental Lady" by Bob Welch.
That's a great choice. And by the way, did you know that that was originally a Fleetwood Mac
With
song?
Mac, yeah. I played that. I sent it to you about it. Yeah.
In fact, I think it's Christy McVeigh. I think does the background vocals on that track.
Probably does.
It
Yeah.
sounds like her, so I'm making the assumption.
And Bob
That's a great
Welch
song.
was a member of the original Fleetwood Mac. So
Yeah.
when he went solo, he probably had some of the songwriting credit for that song. So he did
Yeah.
it. And I got to tell you, I thought it was a great song.
I love that
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
Oh, "All Out of Love" by Air Supply. That's the one.
Okay. All right.
I like the I heard them play it acoustically they were on like Sirius XM a
I
couple
think
years
I've
ago.
heard that. Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's pretty damn good. So
Yeah.
but I always liked it growing up. My mom listened to it and I was always embarrassed. I would like get on the record player and play it when
Right.
they weren't around.
I DJ'd a wedding reception one time, and the dude, the groom, wanted to do a dance with his mom, and he asked me to play "All Out of Love" by Air Supply, and they were kind of goofing, like they were kind of having fun. They were dancing. They were both singing it, and I said there must be some backstory to this, like maybe when he was a little kid, she drove him crazy with it or something. Who knows? But you could tell by the way they were really living it up that there was some kind of background. But it was fun to watch. So
All right. What about "Brass and Pocket" by the Pretenders?
yeah, that's a pretty good song. I can't think
I
of
don't-
that.
yeah,
It's not
that's
a guilty pleasure.
yeah.
Is that a
I'm
classic
not a fan
rock?
of this song, but I don't think you can name anything by the Pretenders. And
Right. Okay. Paul, it probably isn't probably doesn't meet the threshold. You know, those early 80s, you had songs that were sort of new wave, but not really. And
Yeah.
then the Pretenders had songs that were heavier rock and then the ones that weren't. So it's hard. Sometimes they just grandfather the song in because of who the artist is. So I don't think I've heard that on a classic rock station, but I certainly wouldn't think of that as a guilty pleasure if somebody played it at a classic rock place. So
Yeah. Okay. Fair
okay,
enough.
listen, let's wrap this up because we're going to be out of time here. If you ever want to do this topic again, I can give you a million. I barely got through the A's and B's in the 70s, but there's a million. But for now, that's all we're going to do. Also, you know what I would like to do sometime, and that is songs that we can all agree are not, under any circumstances, are not classic rock songs, but consider that perhaps they should be grandfathered in, maybe because of the time or because of the just pure awesomeness of the song. Here's the one that made me think of this. Save a Prayer by Duran Duran. Because I love that song. And I know it's not a classic rock song, but if a classic rock station played it, I would say, wow, what a great choice. But it's not classic rock. I think it should be grandfathered in. Anyway, that's the topic for a future show if you guys are interested.
yeah,
Fine.
that
Okay.
sounds great.
All right. Any final comments? Otherwise, we're going to wrap it up.
I was just-
Pretenders first album. Sorry, Steve. It's a masterpiece. It's probably about 40 years old now. Masterpiece album. Steve?
Given that it's springtime and John Fogerty is on tour right now, Center Field is my kind of classic rock pick for the week. so.
Good choice. I love that song, by the way. One last thing, Steve, because we were not totally sure whether you were going to be joining us tonight. Paul said he hadn't heard from you. I said, if Steve doesn't make it, I'm going to choose a different topic, and I was going to do Heart. Sort of the same way we did Boston. I wanted to sort of cover a chronology of Heart. So that's another upcoming topic. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well then for now, that's going to do it. This is the Great Classic Rock Debate. If you happen to be watching right now, please like, comment, and subscribe. We will love you for that. Until we meet again, we'll see you next time.